Hi, Joshua. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, congratulations on season three. So far, it's been a
Thank you.
very crazy season for the Titans, especially with everything going on with Red Hood. Um,
Mm,
so first, I want to kind of start with episode four. That kind of Connor is very much facing an identity crisis at this point,
yeah,
especially after the events of episode three with Hank. You see him kind of battling himself in episode four. How is that for you as an actor? But also, discuss a little bit about if we're going to see more of that from Connor as the season goes on.
absolutely. I think that scene that you're referring to at the top of episode four there, the aftermath of Hank's death, that was one of, I think, if not the first thing that we shot, maybe the second scene that I ever shot for the season. So really jumping in the deep end there with that one. But as you say, yeah, he is struggling with an identity crisis. And I think that he's perpetually struggling with that identity crisis. And that kind of just comes to a head in that particular moment for him uh, because of the kind of the weight of the guilt that he's feeling in the wake of Hank's death. And in answer to your question, yeah, I think that he's going to continue to struggle with that as the season progresses. Um, as you know, he kind of came into the world rather abruptly and had a lot of questions about, who he is, where he came from, why he is, and those are big questions, and the answers to those questions aren't simple ones. So he'll continue to be discovering and learning as the season continues.
And since Connor is essentially both Superman and Lex Luthor, how for you as an actor has that been to kind of be able to not only portray the hope and the goodness of Superman, but also kind of, the villain that is Lex Luthor?
Yeah, it's interesting because he has, inherent within him, he shares half of his genetics with Superman, half with Lex Luthor, and what he's also grappling with is that self-awareness of that fact and his own kind of desire to go one way or the other as the situation kind of demands. But what he's also getting from the other characters around him is their interpretation and their opinions of those of each of his fathers, and that also plays a role in influencing how he behaves and to what extent he feels he wants to live up to one or the other. So we see at the beginning of the season, and this is carried over from season two, that kind of the leadership he gets from Dick Grayson and that influence of the Titans kind of steering him towards living up to the mantle of Superman and what that represents as the quintessential superhero for fighting for truth and justice, etc. But he's going to learn, particularly in the second half of the season, that maybe it's okay if he doesn't live up to those things. Maybe it's okay if he forges his own path and kind of keeps more of an open mind about who he is and who he could be.
And then also you can kind of see as the season, even though we're not even halfway through yet at this point, that family is becoming a very big dynamic. And you're really starting to see a very fun relationship between Connor and Gar happening throughout the season. And, that's very reminiscent of the comics and the TV show with Beast Boy and Cyborg. So for you, how has that been kind of being a bit more of a comedic relief in some of these really intense scenes?
Yeah, I love those scenes with Gar. I agree. I think they have a really fun, interesting dynamic in the team. They're kind of uh, in the current uh, iteration, the current roster of characters we have at the beginning of season three. I guess they would be the youngest ones, or particularly the mentally speaking from a mental standpoint, the most immature of the team. And for that reason, I think they get along and they bond and they're able to provide those moments of levity throughout the season. And I'm glad they do because they're in Gotham City this season, and it's a pretty dark and somber affair most of the time. The stakes are incredibly high. Things are going wrong. Sometimes as an audience, we need those moments of lighthearted humor and joy. And I think it's really fun to be able to provide that along with Gar.
And will fans get to see that relationship develop as the season goes on?
Yeah, I feel like that since the introduction of Connor in season 2, that's kind of been a staple for him and for the story. Those two characters bonded immediately, and they do have that kind of a special relationship. They play off each other really well, and they're family now. So while I think for the remainder of the season that bond is going to be challenged and tested, similarly with Connor's bond with the other members of the Titans as well. But yeah, I think fans are going to continue to see that relationship strengthen over the future of the show.
And would some of those downs that you were kind of talking about where their bonds are tested, would that have anything to do with the poster you shared on your Instagram story of a wanted poster of Superboy? You shared it like while you were on set?
Trying to jog my memory now, a poster of Superboy. Yeah, that'll become clear to fans as the season continues to go to air. But that'll begin to make more sense. But speaking in broad terms, that poster is indicative of a problem that the Titans as a team face together while operating in Gotham City. Clearly, there's a little bit of a PR issue going on there, but I won't give too much away.
Well, I guess the biggest question of this season is, especially with everything that Jason has done so far, like, can the Titans really is he redeemable, and can the Titans forgive him for what he's done?
It's a good question. He's committed some horrific crimes, some deeply personal to the Titans, obviously with the death of Hank, but also, to other people, to Tim Drake's family, and probably countless other innocent people that have gotten his way this season. Is he redeemable? I don't know. I don't think that's a question I can answer. I think I'll have to leave that up to the fans. But as the season continues, we're gonna get a little more context for Jason's transition to Red Hood. We've seen that a little bit with episode 5, but we're gonna continue to unravel that mystery. And I think I'll leave it up to the fans to decide whether or not he can be forgiven.
And this season has been really delving into the Batman mythos, like the entire season pretty much. Is there anybody from Superman's mythos you'd like to see, or you'd like to kind of have your arc with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the season is set in Gotham City, which is like the fabled home of Batman in the comics. His whole rogues gallery of villains pretty much lives in that city, and because we're kind of dealing with an older Bruce Wayne in our show, there's a lot of implied history there, and we see that a little bit with Scarecrow. In terms of Connor, yeah, you're right. Obviously, inherent in the character of Connor is others Metropolis-based characters, and for sure, hypothetically, one day I'd love to see Connor or the Titans go back to Metropolis and maybe involve some of those characters. I feel like that would be huge. That would be huge for Connor's development. To even meet Superman would be an incredibly important event in Connor's life. I don't know, maybe one day, I hope.
And is there anything so far, because as I said, this season has just been kind of twist after twist after twist. Has there anything when you were reading the script that completely just took you off guard or surprised you, or you were like, this, I cannot wait to film this scene?
Yes, there's certainly a number of twists and turns that took me by surprise when I was reading the script. The one I remember that I read doesn't even involve me. Just way back pre-COVID-19, I read that script for episode 1, and I was like, what? Tim Drake's going to be in this? Oh my God. I was so hyped up for Tim. And yeah, that incredulity kind of continued as I read each subsequent script. And particularly for Connor, the journey that he goes on personally in the second half of the season, I was not expecting. But, as surprised as I was equally excited at the prospect of going down this path. And, you know, without giving anything away, I think we're going to take the character in new directions, and we're going to see how he responds to new stimuli. I'll just put it like that.
And is there anything this season that you can, or the rest of the season, you can actually kind of tease without giving too much away or getting in trouble with PR?
Yeah. I think it's a really great second half to the season. The Titans as a team, they're going to be challenged and tested. That bond that they have, that bond as a family and as a superhero unit, they're going to really feel the pressure. The cracks are going to start to show, and we're going to have to see if they have the fortitude to hold together. Other than that, I would just say stay tuned. Yeah, I don't know, buckle up. It's going to be good.
And what else are you working on right now? I know COVID has kind of put a lot of people, there was a lot of like questions on projects and all that stuff. And I know that, for you, at least for Titans, there was kind of, you guys were filming both in and out of, COVID and stuff like that. So what are you working on currently now?
Well, right now I'm actually working on a lot of books and video games and catching up with my family, because I was kind of in Toronto shooting Titans for 9 months, and I was unable to see anyone. So yeah, I'm just happy to be getting some downtime. I mean, it's kind of enforced downtime. I live in Melbourne, and we're currently under some pretty strict lockdown measures. So I can't really leave the house, which has its pros and cons. But yeah, no, I'm kind of just enjoying a bit of downtime at the moment, and I guess making up the lost time with my family, and being a little bit of a consumer of media as opposed to a creator.
Yeah. Any good video games that you're playing right now?
Yeah. Actually, I have an Oculus VR headset, and I've been playing that a bit. It's quite fun, super immersive, really cool. I was playing this new game called, shout out to Demio, which is like a virtual reality tabletop RPG game, which is potentially the nerdiest sentence anyone's ever said in an interview. But I've been enjoying that yesterday, and I'll probably continue to enjoy it today after this interview is done.
And real quickly though, like, how was filming Titan? I know you said you filmed 9 months away from your family and all of that. How is that for you guys as a cast, like especially during the pandemic in Toronto and all that? Like, how did you even stay like entertained or not bored when you weren't filming?
Yeah, it was tough, especially in comparison to how season 2 was. But first off, I have to just express how grateful I felt and how privileged to be able to be, on the other side of the world shooting a superhero TV show during a global pandemic to begin with, which, it's a privilege to be able to do that. And yeah, I consider myself very lucky to be in that situation. But it was a lot tougher than season 2. And I guess we kind of just had, in terms of the cast, we kind of just had to rely on each other a little more, because we're in that bubble where we're not able to go out and socialize kind of outside of work too much, just for safety reasons. So yeah, we really relied on each other, hanging out outside of filming and trying to stay sane. But we did it. We got there, and I think we made a great season.
Thank you, Joshua, for speaking with me. I know it must be, what is the time? Are you in Melbourne right now?
I'm in Melbourne. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. It's not too early.
Oh, okay.
I know with the current lockdown, and it's getting out of bed at before midday counts as a win. But no, it's not too early at all. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you. And once again, congratulations. The season so far has been pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Thank you very much.